There was a request by the candidates that if the 4 candidates each answered the same question, they would like an opportunity to answer that same question too. So I have 3 of those, and we'll start out with the one where I got 3 questions on. Opening statements, thank you. And we just determined the order, so we're ready to go. And based on when their birthdays are, and let me introduce them, we have the 2 candidates for position 5 are Phyllis Strickler and Gordon Comfort. And they have the same 2 minutes for an opening statement. Okay.
You ready?
Mrs. Strickler, yes.
Okay. Education is my passion. Not only have I been on the school board for 20 years, but I've also been directing a 4-school tutoring program 2 days a week for Marcus Whitman students. And I've been doing that for a number of years as well. Since I've been on the board, there has been a very significant growth in the number of students we have, from about 8,000 to over 13,000 now. But not only do we have more students, but we also have more programs and opportunities for those students. As most of you, I'm sure, are aware now, we have all-day kindergarten. We also have community in schools, which gives opportunities for getting the parents more involved with the schools and making connections with the families. We have AVID, which is becoming an enhanced program and is going down now into the elementary schools, which gives opportunities for the students to learn how to take notes, how to organize their materials, and gives them a can-do attitude. It's been a very effective program. We have interventions for the students. We have college in the high school. We have increased AP classes. We have about 30 classes, both at Hanford, AP classes, and also at Richland High. The newest one, which is just this year, is AP Computer Science. We have programs after school with a teacher there so that the students who are behind or who need extra help can come in and get extra tutoring to do better in their classwork and get caught up. We have internships, work-based learning, not only for the high kids who go out to PNNL or out into the area, but also for special ed kids who go to Cadillac and to a lot of the local businesses, and it's just a tremendous program for them. So there's lots of opportunities, and I see that I'm supposed to stop.
Thank you. And Mr. Comfort.
You could have my time, Phyllis. My name is Gordon Comfort. I am running for the school board. I appreciate the League of Women Voters for putting this on, and I really appreciate Phyllis's years of experience and her service. I think it's really important and something to be recognized. I'm really excited to run for the board. I really believe in innovation, and I believe in empowering people to do great things. I have been a teacher. I was an English teacher. I was an assistant principal and a principal at Richland High School. Currently, I'm the executive director, CEO of Goodwill Industries of the Columbia here in our area. I think that there really needs to be clear goals for the district. I believe in curriculum, goals regarding curriculum, that there be a guaranteed and a viable curriculum set. I believe in student learning, goals regarding student learning, and accountability to achievement across the district. I support students through excellent teaching, and you only get excellent teaching through excellent teachers. And I really feel strongly that teachers are the paramount responsibility of the school board, and we only focus on teachers through hiring the right educational leader, such as the right superintendent. And with the right superintendent, with the right educational leader, we can set the priorities, set the goals for the district. I think all the programs that Phyllis named are really important. They really are. There are so many different cool and innovative things that we can do in education. The issue is I don't believe in a shotgun approach to educational programs. I think we should set goals and then follow those goals with organizational discipline. That's how I run my organization currently, and I think that's how we should run the school district. The school district is a $130 million organization that currently does not have a goal. And I'll talk more about that, I'm sure, as we go through tonight's debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for their first question, which shouldn't come as a surprise. We had a third question come in on the issue of teaching creationism or human design or intelligent design in the public schools. Somebody wanted to know if you were in favor of it, how would you choose which one to use? So we will begin with Mrs. Strickler, and I will give them up to 2 minutes if they want to, since the other candidates got to answer twice. So if you need, you can go up to 2 minutes.
Okay. Actually, as I listened to the other candidates, I didn't have much problem with what they had to say in terms of presenting both points of view and having an open discussion and present the evidence and the ideas and the thoughts that go into the support of both of those points of view. So I think one of the questions that they wanted clarified was, does that mean you would allow the teaching? I would certainly allow the discussion to take place with both creationism and with the evolution.
And how might you choose?
I'm not going to choose. I'm going to say, I'm not going to take one over the other. I think we need to provide, if we're going to do a thorough job, we need to look at both.
Well, okay. And Mr. Comfort.
Thank you. My son subscribes, well, my parents subscribed my son to National Geographic Junior a number of months ago. And one of the articles in there was written by the editor of the magazine. And the article basically talked about the fact that science is settled regarding creationism versus evolution, and that anybody that believes in creationism isn't worth anything. And those are not the exact words, but that was definitely the sentiment of this article. To be very clear, I don't believe that creationism should be taught in our public schools. I don't think that our science teachers are prepared or in that area. I think that science should be taught, so I guess maybe I differ a little bit in that. I definitely believe there should be a conversation regarding that, and that should not be stopped. This is the part that I definitely believe that science teacher should not, at any point in that conversation, treat creationism as an afterthought or something that the science, quote unquote, is settled. I think that the science departments, especially in the middle schools and the high schools, need to treat that with much respect. But as far as teaching something that they're not trained to teach, I do not believe in that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And because we only have 2 people up here, Mr. Comfort gets to take a deep breath and answer the next question. And we'll go to a slightly different question that we didn't touch on in the first round. Most people think Delta High School is an asset for our entire community. Do you think other Richland students not attending Delta have enough exposure to a STEM curriculum, and what could be done to enhance those opportunities for other students?
I do believe in the STEM curriculum. I think the best part of a STEM curriculum is the interconnectedness of the disciplines within STEM. In fact, I would actually change STEM to STEAM and add an A into that for the arts, because I think the folks that are too focused on that STEM miss out on the arts and the ability and the opportunity to have a different level of thought and analysis that the arts provide. I would also go one step further and say that we should start another school, maybe a health and sciences academy, between the school districts that would focus on the colleges, WSU, CBC, the nursing programs, the hospitals, Catholic and trios, cancer centers. It would help to ease some of the crowding that we're finding, or we will inevitably find in our high schools. I think to answer the question, are students currently in our regular high schools have enough access to STEAM or STEM, however you want to look at that? Probably not. But again, it's the most important part of that is the interconnectedness of the disciplines. So I don't think that in our high schools that interconnectedness is available to the students as it is needed. And I think we could do a lot towards that with the proper goals and the proper planning in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Strickler, what are your opinions about Delta and other STEM opportunities?
I think Delta is a very worthwhile endeavor, and that is been very successful. I think I agree with Gordon that we do have lots of STEM classes, STEM type classes in our high schools, but there is not that interconnection that you would find at Delta with the language arts and so forth, feeding into the science area, science and technology and engineering. So I think there's more we could do, but there are certainly opportunities, and there are internships for a lot of the kids, especially if that's their area of interest. They can go out into the area and get lots of wonderful experiences and move forward with the science area if they so desire.
Okay. And as a member of the League of Women Voters and a history major, I'll say don't forget about history and politics and preparing them to be good citizens. There's a lot to do. Okay, we'll start with you, Mrs. Strickler, and we'll take on the question about Common Core and your view of it and its value in Richland's education.
Okay. I was interested in the comments that I heard earlier from the others and really didn't have much problem with what they had to say. I would again emphasize that Washington State has adopted the Common Core as their standards, and so those are our state standards, which means that they are the standards which are set forth for the public schools in Washington, including Richland. They are not the curriculum, but they are the standards, and they were originally set out not by the national government, but by other groups. The national government the federal government got involved by providing $360 million for the development of the test, which is called the SBAC. And I guess probably my major concern would be more with the tests than with the standards, because when you have a test, the test tends to drive the curriculum, because you have to prepare for the test and you want your kids to do well on the test, and so you work toward being ready for it. There are some possible problems with the test, although I know they're doing a lot to try and standardize the grading and being put very stringent procedures in place, but especially when you get into reading, writing that the students do, there's always a possibility that there is bias involved, not only in the grading, but also in the selection of the articles that the kids read.
Thank you. And Mr. Comfort?
As the sixth person to have an opportunity to say this, I'll change it up a little bit. I would say of the 5 people that have spoken so far, I probably would agree with all, except with the exception of probably Mr. Higgins, regarding some of the overarching philosophy regarding the federal government's stance on it. I'm very pragmatic in the way that I operate, both personally and organizationally. I think that the standards are good. And there's been a lot of research regarding when parameters are set onto a group of people, that's where creativity lies. And I think when those standards are placed in front of our teachers, and when given the opportunity to rise to the occasion and be creative and be innovative within those parameters, it's a great opportunity, and I don't think we should miss it. And I think with some organizational discipline and opportunities for innovation and collaboration, we can do some really fun and interesting things across our district and across the state, for that matter. But for me, my focus obviously is the district. And when you take it from the district level and you take it down to the administrative level, you take it down to the department level, and then individual team level, and then teacher level, you really can find creativity along that whole thread regarding the standards. It's just an opportunity that I don't think we can miss, and we can grow from it and be innovative. Thank you.
Thank you. And you get to go first.
Awesome.
We talked a little bit about class size, and I have a couple questions and from both the teachers and the students, and I will ask you, from the students' perspective, how do you think class size affects their ability to learn and succeed in a classroom?
Class size is such an interesting piece, and having taught in large classes in Arizona, having been an administrator of classes that are large, it's I don't think anybody can overstate the difficulty of teaching in large classes. You really miss out from a student's perspective. You really miss out on the opportunity to interact with that teacher. And the teacher is the number one factor in that classroom. And when you don't have that opportunity to interact with that teacher, you miss out. There are so many other factors beyond just the funding per se of small classes, the biggest one being size, especially in our high schools when you have what we call tennis shoe teachers, that when there are not enough classes where a teacher has to go around from classroom to classroom, toting their stuff along to go to a new classroom. So you kind of have to weigh those things out between an oversized classroom and having tennis shoe teachers. I think you really need to be cognizant about that. But overall, to answer your question, students miss out on that interaction with that teacher, and that is, you can't overcome that. I think it's really important to lower the class sizes as much as possible.
Thank you. And Mrs. Strickler?
Would you read the question again, please?
Sure. From the student's perspective, how do you think class size affects their ability to learn and succeed in a classroom?
Okay, I certainly agree with what Gordon had to say. The smaller class size gives more time, more individual time for the student to interact with the teacher, to get help where they need to get help, to get clarifications, to get direction, and to interact appropriately with their peers. So I think class size is an important thing, especially at the elementary school. When kids at the lower levels are beginning to read, they often need that extra time and attention to succeed.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll give you another new question. We'll start with you. What do you see as the greatest facility needs within the district over the next 5 years to meet both a growing population and potentially smaller class sizes?
Facility needs.
Yes.
Well, I could dream on this one. We're getting to the point, we've got almost 2,000, we've got lots of students in our high schools. I'm not going to go with the numbers necessarily, but both high schools are getting to the point where they're overcrowded, so it's not going to be long before we're going to need a new high school. We've got a new middle school being built in West Richland as we speak. We're going to need more elementaries. We've got property out in West Richland on Belmont that is meant to be an elementary site. Jefferson is probably going to be rebuilt and larger than we originally thought because, as I think was already mentioned, this year and last year we had an increase of 500 students within the district, so that's 1,000 more kids than we've had. And if that continues, of course we don't know for sure that it will, but it looks to be a growing trend, we're going to need additional classroom space. Some of our schools now have smaller class sizes, but we still have a couple schools which have larger class sizes, and we've got Tapteel and Badger which really need attention, and we're going to have to address the concerns there.
Okay, I can sense she could go on and on.
Yeah.
But Mr. Comfort, what do you see as the most pressing fiscal or facility needs in the district in the next 5 years?
Ditto. I think that I agree with Phyllis. I would just take it one step further. And again, when faced with an opportunity, a difficulty, then it's time to get creative. So what are some creative ways that we can, creative things that we can do to increase choice in our schools? So I already talked briefly about the Health and Sciences Academy that would alleviate some class size issues at our high school level. We can go into magnet schools, the modular building that was used for HomeLink recently. We could do things like that, a building like that for maybe language-based elementary schools to alleviate some of those class size problems. Again, I go into what Phyllis said, you can begin to dream, but really when you begin to dream and there's opportunity, that's one of the main things that I think that we need to focus on in the Richland School District is that we are a well-resourced school district, period. We have a lot of funds, we have a lot of things that we can do, and to stay the status quo really bothers me. I think that there are so many different cool and innovative and fun things and choice-ridden that we can do in our school district, and to stay the current course is good, but I don't think it's great. And I think there's more and fun things that we do for our kids.
Okay, thank you. We'll do one more question that was covered in the first round, and then we'll go to closing statements. And that is your stance on charter schools and how they fit in with the public school system. And we'll begin with you, Mr. Comfort.
Thanks. The charter school system currently in the Washington state allows for individual organizations to start charter schools, or a district can start a charter school. And so depending on how the court cases end up, the current court cases, let's say that they are funded and that we can do it. So let's take that position that they will be legal, depending on so if they are going to be legal, I think the school district should take the bull by the horns and take it as an opportunity to increase our student population and revenue by building a charter school that is the community wants. Both at any of the levels. We can go K-12, we can go middle school, we can go high school, anything in between. It could be based on health and sciences, it could be based on STEAM, it could be based on a language, whatever it may be. Let's take that opportunity, take the funding while it's there, and create more space for our kids, more choices for our kids. I understand that the sentiment that it will take funding away from the public schools. Well, we can be in charge of that and say, okay, well, we are public school, so let's run a public charter school. Why not? Why not take that opportunity to be creative and innovative? Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Strickler.
Okay. I haven't, I haven't advocated for public charter schools, but at the same time, I'm not really opposed to charter schools either, as long as they have the same standards and requirements as the public schools do. The court ruled that Washington's public charter school law was unconstitutional, saying they cannot receive public funding because they're not common schools that elect a school board or school board members. And what Gordon has suggested would take care of that provision. The Charter School Association is working to keep their 9 charter schools open, because at the moment they don't have that funding. And recently the Supreme Court has been asked to delay the school ruling, and the Attorney General has asked the courts to reconsider that ruling. And the state Supreme Court did grant an extension to file motions for reconsideration to October 23rd. So things are really pretty much still up in the air with regard to the charter school situation. And we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, we are up to 1 minute for them to summarize everything about how they feel about education and why they want to be on the board in Richland. So,
I get to start.
you get to go first, Mrs.
Okay.
Strickler.
Thank you to the League for providing the forum. It's very much appreciated. Again, my passion is education. My biggest concern really is student learning. We have a significant achievement gap right now between our low-income students and our non-low-income students, and we need to work really hard to close that gap. I also think we need to work extremely hard to increase the success of our middle and high school students for graduation and for post-graduation opportunities. I'm proud of the work we've done. I think Richland School District is in good shape at the moment, fiscally and also academically. After 20 years, though, I'm still passionate about it, and I would like to continue on the board. I have a proven record of leadership on the board. Being retired, I have the time, the energy, and the availability to serve. And I bring institutional knowledge of the district, having had a longer tenure than the other board members and pretty much all the district level administrators. As a result, I believe my presence on the board is a benefit to the school district and also the community, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Comfort.
Thank you, Phyllis. I totally agree with everything that Phyllis said. I think there are some major differences, however, that the board of voters will need to choose. I'm going to focus again on the plan. This right here. This was mailed out recently to some administrators in the district. That is the district improvement plan. There's currently not a district improvement plan. All the school improvement plans that happened this year were done without a district improvement plan. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot run my district, my organization without reporting to my board without a plan. And then we have organizational discipline towards that plan, and then we work towards that plan as a group. And I think as a district, we need to be able to look towards a plan with transparency and with the ability to, with input, and then we go from there. There are so many different interesting things to do in a school district. If you go to my website, gordoncomfort.com, I have some ideas on there that you might be interested in. I have 5 kids currently in the district, and I am very invested in the well-being of the school district and my kids. I appreciate your time, and thank everyone for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, and help me thank Mrs. Phyllis Strickler and Gordon Comfort.